Hello and welcome to another reading vlog. This one is the second part of my Read It or Delete It series. This I'm filming not long after I ended the first one, only so I can start getting ready and actually collecting the books needed for this one. Whereas last time I did, when we spun the wheel, we landed on owned books. This time we are going by author, specifically the letter G, which I realized after looking at the wheel that I had author on there twice. I had author letter, and then I had just by author. I've since fixed that. Author is just going to be author and then whatever letter I land on. So we did land on author last name starting with the letter G. And I have quite a few books on our... First of all, if you don't know what this is, if you have not seen the first part, basically I am trying to get through as many books that are on my Goodreads TBR as humanly possible because I have a lot of them and I don't prioritize them enough. Right now I am sitting at 863 books on my Goodreads wanna read, which obviously I do not own all these. These are just books that are currently on the TBR, again, that I don't prioritize. I believe there are 37 options for this video. Obviously I'm not reading 37 books within a week. But what I wanted to do before I even started collecting books for this was to go through all of the options and see if there's any that I want to get rid of. Like right off the bat, just X amount and get them off the shelf. Starting with Finale, I do not because I want to finish that series. Once Upon a Broken Heart, though, I do want to read something by Stephanie Garber that's not necessarily the Caraval series, even if it's connected. So I do want to give that a chance. Like a Sister, I still want to read. The Collective is one I was debating. But then it's about a grieving mother, and I don't feel like I've read very many revenge stories involving a grieving mother. So we'll keep that. The Mystery Writer. Vivian shows up on her brother's doorstep with 2 suitcases and an unfinished novel. She expects to face a few challenges where her brother support her ambition or send her back to finish her degree. When her mentor is brutally murdered, Theo wants the killer to be found and justice served. When the police begin looking at her brother as their prime suspect, and Theo does the unthinkable in order to protect him. But the writer has left a trail. Okay. You know what? Why not? Maybe it's because in the first part I read that night in the library and really enjoyed it. We'll give that a shot. Carnival, I am always down for anything carnival related, so we're keeping that. An Education in Malice. This is a pretty popular one that I don't remember ever adding to my Goodreads TBR. I'm not typically a fan of, or I don't typically gravitate towards dark academia. Sorry, let me say that correctly. I've heard very mixed things on this one. Well, if I can get the audiobook for it, we'll keep it for now. The part about the dragon was mostly true. I do want to read. The Woman Could Fly. Again, I don't remember ever adding this one. Josephine Thomas has heard every conceivable theory about her mother's disappearance, that she was kidnapped, murdered. Then she took on a new identity to start a family, that she was a witch. This is the most worrying charge because in the world where witches are real, peculiar behavior raises suspicions. I don't remember adding this, but it does look interesting. The Trouble with Tinsel. problem with this one is I own this one. And I do kind of just want to get rid of it. Only problem is it is wrapped. And I do not know which, obviously I don't know which one it is because it is wrapped. Yeah, it is this one. Okay. Sorry. I know it seems like that was cheating. Trouble with tinsel. The more I think about it, the more I realize I kind of just don't care. So I think we are going to bring it down to 36. Okay. So back. Cemetery songs I do really, really want to read. I know it's a YA fantasy, and those aren't always my favorite, but I've heard some really good things. It's sitting at a 4.19 on Goodreads. We're going to keep that. We're also going to keep Die. That's a graphic novel that I would definitely like to get to in this video. The Witch and the Tsar, The Conductors, and Mrs. Death. Mrs. Death we're definitely keeping. Sea of Ruin, keeping. Dawn of Onyx, that is another one that's iffy because I've heard, even though people love the first book in the series, the rest of them not so much. Like, the series gets significantly worse. Still, I want to give them a shot because it's a genre that I have not delved very far into. Princess Bride, I love the movie. I do really want to read the book. I own the book. Yes, definitely The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. Own it, want to read it. Definitely want to read it. Own it, want to read it. Yes. The 100 Nights of Hero. Oh, it's a graphic novel. It's an LGBTQ graphic novel. In the tradition of the Arabian Nights. Okay, it's a graphic novel. Yeah, we'll keep it. Love of My Afterlife I want to read. For Never and Always I want to read. The Adventures of Deadly Dimensions. Sherlock Holmes versus Cthulhu I definitely want to read. These next two I actually do think I'm going to take off. They do look like really interesting and cute romances. One of them is a hockey romance. Problem is they're YA romances, and I just don't find myself gravitating towards those anymore. All right, so bring that down to 34. And then King of Frost and Shadows. Eat the Ones You Love. Don't know what that's about, but I like the title, so we're going to keep that. The Bright Sword. This one is another iffy one because I did try to read The Magicians, and I actually DNF'd and unhauled it. This is another one that's set in Camelot, or set in the Arthurian legends. I think we're going to give this author another chance, and we're going to keep that. And then The Carnival Keepers, again, anything with a carnival in it, or we're going to at least attempt. So that brought it down from 37 to 34. I think, yeah, because I got rid of 3. In terms of what I'm actually going to be reading, because obviously I'm not reading 34 books in a week, I don't know. I actually own, let's see, how many do I own here? I own 6. So as much as I would like to try to prioritize those, because I actually do own them, there are a few here that I could definitely just get out of the way right off the bat, including Die and the 100 Nights of Hero. That one, those two should be super easy to get through if I can find them from my library. The Adventures of Robin Hood, I would really love to read. That's another one I own. I own Killers of the Flower Moon as well. Yeah, we're going to see how many of these that I can actually get from my library, A, and how many I can get to. Unlike last time, we're not going to go in any specific order. We're just going to see what I can get and start filming. And start reading, I should say. Hello. Okay. I'm officially starting this vlog. It is technically February 28th, and I'm going to be honest with you. I have technically already started the first book for this vlog. And I'm not very far into it. I'm only 65 pages into it. But I said I was going to flip between a book that I owned versus a book, you know, that I borrowed from the library or an audiobook or whatever. And I lied to you because I was looking at all of the options that I had to read. And there were two books that really stuck out that I did not own that I wanted to read immediately. And I wanted to guarantee that I would actually finish within this vlog. I'm thinking I'm going to make this like the span of 2 weeks because I do want to get through as many of these books as I possibly can. But oh, I also have to go pick up the holds because all of them are available from the library today. Anyway, it's a very busy day. So I am going to finish off my February reading with possibly one of the audiobooks that I downloaded that is not for this vlog, but I'm just mentioning it because I can. But we have started For Never and Always, and like I said, I'm only 66% or 66 pages of the way through this, and I read the first book. Honestly, I was kind of on the fence about it now that I'm remembering it correctly. I was like, I don't know if I love this. I think it's too long. The characters aren't really likable, but I didn't realize how unlikable every single character is until I read this one. Like, even our side characters, who are our main characters in the first book, are awful. We learn something it is technically a spoiler because it's not mentioned in the synopsis, but we learned something in the first 50 pages that was kind of a secret from a lot of people except our two main characters. And our side main character, who was our main character in the first book, completely loses her shit. She's not being a very supportive friend, which I get it. Like, you don't like feeling like your best friend is hiding something from you. But at the end of the day, you are not entitled to knowing things, even from your best friend. Like, it really is pissing me off, and it's making me wonder if I want to continue with this book or continue with the series. I'm going to stick it out, but because I do love a good romance story, and maybe, like, as we move on, our characters will get more likable. But even, like, we get little snippets, because this is I should probably explain what this is about, huh? The first one followed Miriam, who is basically very estranged from her family, and she comes back to the family Christmas tree farm, even though they're Jewish. Everyone finds it very ironic that they're a Jewish family that owns a Christmas tree farm. After her aunt, who runs the farm, unfortunately passed away. And she realizes that the farm was kind of split into 4 sections, and one was left to her, one was left to her cousin Hannah, one was left to this new girl Noelle, and one was left to her childhood friend Levi. And she goes back to try to figure all this out and get it all squared away. Of course, she ends up falling in love and staying and blah, 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 which may have been a spoiler, but it's a romance book. And then in this one, we follow Hannah, who is Miriam's cousin, and Levi. And in the first book, they kind of had an established relationship, but he ended up leaving and pretty much wanted nothing to do with the farm, but he loves Hannah dearly. He wanted her to go. She wanted to stay. And we kind of get to the bottom of that in this book. Even when we got little snippets of their childhood, Hannah was not a very good friend, and you can see that very clearly. Levi is not a very likable, not a very likable character, but you can kind of understand where he's coming from. You can also kind of understand where Hannah is coming from, because when she was younger, we learned that she has moved from place to place to place, and she's done with traveling. She wants to stay. Levi is the exact opposite. He wants to move. He wants to travel. And that's pretty much the only thing they disagree on. Even though they know they love each other, they know that they want to be together, there's some pretty fundamental foundations that they can't agree on. Like I said, I'm only 66 pages in. I'm hoping this will get better as it goes on, and I'll actually be able to root for our main characters. But even now, thinking about it, I'm like, did I really love the first book as much as I thought I did? And I was so super excited for this book, and I think that's part of the reason that I kept Seasons of Love, is because I really, 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 really wanted to read Hannah and Levi's story. I'm a sucker for a second chance romance, which, even though I've only read, like, this was the third one that I've ever read, I still love the idea of second chance romance. I do want to finish it because it's reading very quickly. I've been reading it off and on while watching The Rookie, and like the little teeny tiny commercials that Hulu has you watch. Like, I've been reading like a page or two during those, and so like I'm actually making some decent progress. We'll see whether or not I'm in the mood to read one of the ebooks that I have to finish for February, or if I want to start one of the other ones. But either way, the next book after this, whether like the next physical book after this, and I'm so excited, like the reason that I didn't like fully get through my plan of reading an owned book and then a library book was because there were two library books that I really, really, really wanted to read, and the second one was The Witch and the Tsar. This is a Baba Yaga retelling, which for some reason I didn't remember that when I was looking at the choices for this video. Like, it is a pretty chunky book, so I'm going to try to make as much time for this as possible. But I'm really excited about this. For some reason, Baba Yaga retellings really intrigue me. Okay, I have quite a lot of errands to run today. I am going to go do that, pop in an audiobook, and see where the day takes us in terms of reading. Okay, I'm going to check in with you super quick. At least I'm going to try to, even though Benson's probably going to yell at me because I'm supposed to be downstairs helping with dinner. I did finish 2 books since we last spoke. One of them being, of course, For Never and Always, and both the cats are on the bed. Hello. And okay, baby, hi, I love you. I really don't have anything else to add to this other than what I have already told you. I thought it was fine. I ended up giving it a 3-star. It really just came down to the characters. And if it were in a romance book and I don't have likable characters, even like morally gray likable characters, then I'm not having it. I don't care about the romance. And it really did make me want to consider DNFing the series and not finishing the third one or reading the third one. But I'm still gonna do that because why not? And then I ended up picking up the 100 Nights of Heroes, which is basically an Arabian Nights retelling, and I had so much fun with this. I thought for the most part, this was like, for a good majority of it, I thought like it was going to be a solid 4-star, but the more we got into it, the more I think it's actually a 5-star. Basically, we follow these 2 female main characters who are lovers. They very much in love with each other, but one of them is married to a man. And unbeknownst to her at first, this man makes a deal with another man, basically saying that if you leave your wife alone for 100 days, she's going to cheat on you. And so they make a deal from that. So basically, it follows 100 nights of them telling stories to delay Cherry having to sleep with this guy, basically. And I love one of the things that stuck out to me about this was the art style. I really like the dark and almost sketchy vibe of art style. I had so much fun with this, and like I said, I loved the stories within this. Even story, like the 1 or 2 stories that I already knew from this one, like it added a little bit of a twist, and there was a lot of humor in that. So I loved it. I had a wonderful time with it. Gremlins everywhere. I do have to go help with dinner, so I'm gonna leave you here. I don't know what I'm gonna pick up next. I know I said I do want to read The Witch and the Czar, and I don't think that is any different. Like, I think I'm still going to do that relatively soon, but I don't know if I'm going to pick up the other graphic novel that I just got from the library, or if I'm going to jump into that. I think it might be the other graphic novel, because if I can get through 3 books in one day, that'd be great. This vlog might be a long one. I say that, but then like I lose steam with reading really quickly, and I'm hoping that doesn't happen this month, because I'm only at 16 books for the first 2 months of the year, and I know to most people that's a lot, but I want, like, I'm used to being, like, I'm used to already reading a lot more than I have been, and I want to get back into the swing of reading and enjoying the books that I am reading. So I'm going to go help with dinner because Benson's actually calling me right now, and then I will check in with you probably tomorrow with hopefully more progress. Okay, hi. So I'm actually killing this whole reading thing. I did finish 2 more books today. I think last I spoke to you, I was about to start Die Volume 1. So at that point, I had 864 books on my Goodreads TBR, which is what we're trying to cut down, obviously, if I didn't explain that already. And then I added 3 more books to it because there are 3 more books in the Die series, and I do want to complete it after reading that volume. I thought it was really interesting, and there's so much potential. So it did bring it up to 867. However, I hadn't added Die Volume 1 to my currently reading yet. So even though it went up 3, we did subtract that one. We also subtracted Killers of the Flower Moon because I started that today and I finished it. So in terms of Die, we follow these 6 friends who play RPGs together, or role-playing games together. And they get together for one of their birthdays, and they end up getting pulled into the game, and they disappear for 2 years. However, only 5 of them out of the 6 come back, and then we are transported about 25 to 30 years into the future, and unfortunately they end up going back, and we start to get answers to the things that happened all those years ago. The way this ended, first of all, I really enjoyed the art style. It's upstairs and I really don't want to go get it, but I really enjoyed the art style. I thought it was super dark, but also really, really pretty in certain ways. There's also a lot of, like, I simultaneously loved this and hated it because there's so much backstory that we don't know yet, and I feel like there are answers that we're not, or questions that we're not fully going to get the answers to. It just seems like that kind of series. So that kind of makes me really iffy about it. I did, however, download the other 3 on my Hoopla app from my library. So we have the next 3 that I am hoping to finish either this week or within the month. So I'll probably be swapping between those. Sorry, there's a cat staring at me. We'll probably be swapping between those as we read more for this video. But the way that it ended leaves a lot of potential. We'll see. I typically like a happy ending in my graphic novels / manga, but we'll see. And then I started the audiobook for Killers of the Flower Moon, which wasn't the book that I said I was going to start next again. But I was really nervous about this one. I ended up spinning a wheel, and of course it landed on that one. I was really nervous about this one, and I wasn't 100% sure if I wanted to pick it up right away, because it is a nonfiction book. It is basically about how the FBI got started, as well as the treatments of Native Americans, not only at that time, but of course in today's time as well. And it's, like I said, I was really nervous about this because this kind of story can either be super interesting or super, I don't want to say boring, but super dense. And even with the audiobook, sometimes I struggle with nonfiction, but this is the exact opposite. This was so unbelievably interesting. I don't think there was at any point where I felt this was too long or too dense or even too intimidating, other than, of course, before I started it. So many animals. But I 100% really want to watch the movie now. And Benson, actually the only reason I knew about this was because Benson had seen the movie when it first came out. I don't remember if it was 2023 or 2024. I think it was 2023, right? But that's really the only reason that I knew about this movie, or knew about this book. Because then we ended up finding the book in the little free library that's down the street from our house, and I got Benson it for a Christmas present. Have they read it yet? Of course not. But like I said, I thought this was super interesting, and I don't think there was a minute that I was bored or wasn't, or like zoned out and wasn't paying attention. And it just kept me wanting to know more about how it was handled and how it all tied together. Anyway, as far as plans for the rest of the night, you see yourself? As far as plans for the rest of the night, I'm supposed to cook. Do I want to? Not really. I do want to start The Witch and the Czar, but I also need to start making progress in Valor because the live show for that is in like 6 days. And I haven't even started it, and it's a 640-page book. But I probably should at least go get one of those books. Because I think I'm all done with everything that I wanted to do today. I mean, like, there's still more that I could get done. But honestly, I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to be in a super productive mood house-wise anyway. So I didn't want to put too much pressure on myself. So I think the plan for the rest of the night is to relax and then cook dinner soon, probably. Maybe. Who knows? Hi. So it's been a little while since I've talked to you, and I actually have to kind of make this update a little quicker than I would like, because my sister's going to be here in a minute, and we're going to do my nails because they desperately need to be done. But I don't remember what I last updated you on. But I have started The Witch and the Czar. I have officially finished the first part, which is up to page 135. And I'm really enjoying this. Basically, it is a Baba Yaga inspired story where she is pretty much a recluse. She stays in her woods, in her house, and yeah, she doesn't have much going on. A lot of people think they know her story, and they are really surprised to find out that she is not exactly what the myth and legends say that she is, until she ends up getting visited from a long time friend, and she ends up going to try to rescue her because her friend, who also happens to be the wife of essentially the king, the Tsar, and so she goes to court, and she's kind of welcomed to court to try to figure out who is poisoning her friend and why. So we're getting to some interesting parts to the point where, like, this is a pretty long book, and a lot of things happened in the first part, and I'm really intrigued to see where we go with the second part. It is also very, very historical. It does feel like there are a lot of historical names and historical figures. I don't know a lot about Russia, which is where this story is mostly told, or at least the history of it. So this is actually really intriguing because it does feel like there's a lot of historical names and historical figures that are being introduced into this story. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. It is reading very, very slowly, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it is reading a little slower because I didn't realize how historical this book was. I thought I was reading a fantasy, but I'm having a lot of fun with this, and I'm really intrigued by it, and I can't wait to continue and see where the story goes. I am interested to see if there is going to be a romance in here, because we have met a couple characters that she could fall for or could have had relationships with, and yeah, I don't know where we're going. I don't know what we're doing, but I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I want to see where we move from here. Like I said, I'm going to my sister's house, so not much more reading is going to get done today or tonight. And then I don't think a lot of reading of this anyway is going to get done tomorrow, because I have some editing and some cleaning that I have to do. So it'll probably be like an audiobook heavy day. So I might put that one to the side in terms of physical books and jump into one of the audios, which I think the next one that I have on deck is The Mystery Writer. So if you don't hear about any of this for a little while, that's why. Also, it is the 6th of the month. I did say I was thinking about making this a 2-week long vlog, and I think that's exactly what we're going to do, because even with my March TBR, like, I have a lot of short books on it, so I could probably get through those pretty quickly, and I want to read more of these books. The more that I have put together this video, the more that I have looked at the books on this video, I realized that these are some books that I'm very, very excited for, and I just want to read them all, as many of them as I possibly can before I have to end this vlog. I will end it at the official 2-week mark. So I'm giving it another week, so this might be a bit of a longer vlog, but my sister is here, so I do have to go. I will check in with you probably tomorrow when I've read either more of this or something, or picked up something different. Okay, it's the 9th of the month, and I've just been so focused on catching up with The Rookie that I haven't. Oh, what the heck is going on with my hair, girl? I don't know. But I've been so focused on catching up with The Rookie that I have not actually been reading, or I have. Like a couple days ago, I did finish The Mystery Writer. Gave it a 3-star. It was okay. Basically, I'm not sure if I explained what this is about, but we follow our main character who discovers her favorite author has passed away, or a very well-known author that she's gotten close to has been murdered, and she kind of takes it upon herself to figure out how and why. And I could go a little more into that synopsis, but I feel like the actual synopsis kind of spoils it, because what the synopsis says happens doesn't happen until a lot later in the book. So yeah, I gave it a 3-star because it was fine. Our main character was kind of annoying, though. I didn't really like her. Like, there were so many times in this book that she just didn't feel really believable. Like, something would happen and then she would go and tell like a completely random stranger what happened, and like, it just did not make sense. Like, have you learned nothing from your past interactions about trusting strangers? Clearly not. It just got on my nerves so much. It did not feel believable. Like, if someone I know was murdered, I wouldn't just go and like I happen to be the one to find the body. I wouldn't just go and just tell any old person, especially if I felt my life was in danger. It just doesn't make sense in the context. So it was actually really annoying. And also, little bit of a spoiler, but not really a spoiler, she ended up developing kind of a little bit of a relationship with this author, and I felt like she moved on from that relationship kind of quickly, because there is a little bit of a romance element in this book. But yeah, I don't know, it was fine, it was okay. I obviously listened to it the whole way through, but it wasn't what I wanted it to be. In terms of what I'm reading now, I did start the audiobook for Women Could Fly. I think that's what it's called. Really enjoying that one. I'll talk about that a little bit more when I sit down and finish it, which I wanted to be today, but probably won't be today because I am trapped in another Rookie catch-up. I've also started physically reading The Escape from Mr. Limoncello's library, which means, of course, I have not made any more progress in The Witch and the Czar. Yeah, I just thought I could get through Mr. Limoncello's library a little quicker. Not that I'm completely bored with The Witch and the Czar. Like, I'm still having a lot of fun with it, and I'm still really interested in it. I just wanted to pick something else up, which is totally valid, and it's okay, and I'm not mad about it. Mr. Limoncello's library is a middle grade. It is about these group of kids who get selected to be the first ones inside their brand new town's library. This town has not had a library in 12 years. So in order to celebrate, they pick 12-year-olds who can spend the first night in the library and discover all of the really cool elements, and basically they can learn more about their library. And then it kind of turns into a little bit of an escape room where they have to figure out how to escape. They can, of course, choose to participate. It's super interesting and fun, and really a love letter to libraries. Obviously, this one is a little more high-tech than the average library, but it's still really cool and fun, and this is definitely something that I would have loved when I was younger, and I kind of wish that I had read it when I was younger, but I'm reading it now, so it's cool. It's fine. At the pace that this is going, though, this does mean that I'm probably going to add the other books in the series to my TBR. And that is obviously a good and a bad thing, because obviously I want to decrease
the number in my Goodreads TBR, but I also don't want to forget about these books and actually make an effort to continue on with them. I also finished, on the way to our concert last night, I finished the second volume of Die. So we're already making progress in a series that we said we were going to in this vlog. I really am gonna try to read some today, and I do need to edit something. So we're gonna try to see what we can do, but I do really want to watch The Rookie for at least another couple episodes. Okay, it is actually a lot earlier than I typically sit down and record a vlog clip, but we ended up waking up a little early so that Benson and I can go for a walk together for once. They had to work at 8, and so I'm awake. I do have to leave for work in a few minutes, but I wanted to let you know that since we last talked, I ended up going on a little reading date with my sister, and I have finished Escape from Mr. Limoncello's Library, which I loved. I gave a 5-star. I gave it a 5-star, which might have been a little generous, but honestly, this is the exact kind of book that I would have loved as a kid. I just loved it so much. I loved all the puzzles, and they made it super kind of interactive where you could try to follow along with the puzzles as well. There were little illustrations and little picture cards, and I loved it. I had so much fun with this, and I did add the rest of the series to my Goodreads TBR. So it seems like my TBR is not shrinking as much as I want it to. So really, is there a point to these vlogs? Probably not, because if I'm just adding, but I feel like it's okay to add series so that I can keep them fresh in my mind and remember that I actually want to read them. Yeah, so I'm okay with it. They definitely won't be getting read in this vlog because I've got like 2 days left of this vlog. Like, yes, this video kind of does seem pointless because even though I am ticking away at them, at like the numbers, they don't seem to be getting very much smaller. But on the other hand, I am reading so many books that I probably wouldn't have gotten to in a long time, if ever. So I'm okay with it. And I've already started planning the next one because usually these vlogs make it so I have to get library holds. So I put in quite a few of those. So hopefully those will start trickling in and we'll get to read them before I have to return them. I also really like this format as opposed to the first installment. So I think we're doing away with the wheel of like how we're going to choose, and we're just going to do by author last names and then randomize a letter each time. I think that's the plan because I like this format better than just picking a random 10 that I may or may not read. Okay, also finished The Woman Could Fly. This one is more of a literary fiction where we take place in a world where witches are real, and pretty much everything you can do as long as you're not a straight white male is kind of put under a microscope. And if you're even deemed remotely a witch, you will be put on trial, and it's so interesting and so beyond beautiful and profound. And there were a couple of times where I like looked and I had to sit there for a second and pause my audiobook and let a line sink in because it was just such a gorgeous book. The things that were brought up and were challenged, not only from a female perspective or a gay perspective, but like a race perspective as well. And it was just I don't really know how to explain this. Clearly, I'm not the best book reviewer. But I did end up giving it a 4.5 star. I don't know if this was just the audiobook, but there were times where we would flop between a past POV and a current POV, and then we would get times of kind of like a fantasy POV where this one also follows a young girl named Josephina, or woman named Josephina, who lost her mother. Her mother literally just kind of poofed out of existence and went missing, and she hasn't been able to find her since then. And she finally ends up claiming her as dead, and it's about her dealing with the repercussions and her feelings on that. But there would be times where we'd get like little fantastic points where there would be things she wished she said to her mother, wished she did with her mother, and it kind of just felt flip-floppy. And again, I don't know if it's the audiobook or if like the physical book has like those breaks so that we can tell, but there would be times where like it would switch to like a past perspective and then not really tell us when we were back in the present perspective. So that got a little confusing, and it took me out of the story for a little bit, so I didn't end up giving it the full 5-star, but highly recommend checking this out if you like literary fiction, which isn't usually my genre. Yeah, that is the beauty of these videos. Even though I just said like they don't seem to be making a difference, they also are making a difference. Yeah, I gotta go finish getting ready for work and then get out of here. Kids have half a day, so it should be a nice and easy day of training. And then today I do have to edit, because I still have to edit my vacation vlog. So I'll be kind of reading in between editing, which I think my next book is The Husbands. And I will talk to you more about that either later tonight or tomorrow. Okay. It is technically the last day of this vlog, and I am about to head out to go to the library so that I can return some of the books that A, are overdue, and B, that I've already read, and then pick up my library holds, because I've already acquired a couple of holds for the next installment of this series, which I know seems silly, but what my library does is they'll like automatically renew books twice. So even though like the normal hold would be 3 weeks, we have a couple more weeks added to that, as long as somebody doesn't already have a hold for it. Because today is the last day of this vlog, I've been debating about what I want to continue on with, because technically I'm between books right now. I did start a little bit of The Husbands, but there's no way I'm going to finish that today because I have so much. It's Friday, which means it's one of my work days. Fridays are typically our productive days where we get our writing, editing, cleaning done for the week. And we're also going grocery shopping today. Send someone ahead because they're going to meet me at the place that we go to get our teas. And then I'm going to go to the library and do what I need to do. Meanwhile, I think I'm going to pick up either the audiobook for The Collective or for Gay Club, I think is what it's called. It's going to be one of those. Not 100% sure which at this moment. I was gonna pick up Finale, but I figured since I'm already gonna have to pick that one up this month anyway, because it is on the official TBR, that one can wait. And I can tell you about that in the wrap up, regardless of if I finish it today or another day. And that one's probably the longest audiobook that I have out right now, so it might be easier just to pick up one of the books that I actually can finish to count for this vlog. Sorry, Max is playing and going a little crazy at the minute. Okay, so I'm gonna go and do that, and I will check in with you later, either when I have an update or when I finish a book. Okay, I'm officially ending this vlog probably about 2 days after I said I was going to, but that is fine. That's fine, because I finally ended up finishing Gay Club, which is the book that I picked up the other day while I was out running my errands. This is a YA book following our main character who is part of their school's gay club. There's only like 4 members, in this, or five, five members in the club, and they are trying to vote for their next president. Obviously our main character Barney is running, and also another girl is running who used to be one of his best friend's girlfriends, and she decides at the very last minute to open up the vote to the entire school, to give the entire school a vote because she thinks she'll have a better chance of winning. And it pretty much follows from there, and it evolves from there. It is a really interesting story. There's a lot of, well, there's like a twist about almost halfway through the book that I did not see coming, that I thought was a really interesting addition, because obviously at that point you start questioning how they're going to keep the book going for as long as it did. I'm not 100% sure how long the book was, but because I listened to it on audio, but it was a decently long book. Probably, I think the audiobook was like 9 hours and 40 minutes. So obviously you can't really make that long of a book on just a school election. So there's a little twist that happens in the middle that I did not see coming, that I was actually not pleasantly surprised by, but surprised by. And like at that point we kind of started to see where the book was gonna go. And I had a lot of fun with this. This was really cute. We did have some kind of love triangle-y-ish elements. But like it also wasn't really a love triangle. You'd have to read the book to understand. It was super cute and fun, and definitely a much needed book. If I had read this when I was younger, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. I think it could have possibly been a 5-star if I was reading this when I adored YA. But there were still times that I found myself smiling and kicking my feet, and you fall for these characters a lot. Obviously there are content warnings for homophobia and transphobia, but I do think this is such an important book to read, and I think you should check it out if you have not. So that brings us to the end of this vlog. Basically, this is a little over 2 weeks in the making. So basically, I have read a total of 8 books within the 2-week period. Could have been more if I finished The Witch and the Tsar, which I do still want to read before I have to give that back to the library. But still, that was... However, I did end up, because I read some series, I ended up adding the 3 additional volumes of Die. Though I don't know if I mentioned this in a vlog, but I did end up taking 2 of those off because I didn't really care about the direction that I was taking. Like, I was kind of just reading them to get them off and not reading them because I cared. So that didn't affect it too much, though I did read 2 volumes out of the 4. And then after Mr. Lemoncello's library, I ended up adding the remaining books, which I think there were 5 extra. So at the start of this, we had 37 books that we needed to read on this list anyway. Ended up right off the bat taking off 4, which brought us to 33. Adding 8 additionals, because we included 5 for Mr. Lemoncello's library and then 3 of the Die volumes, but then we just took 2 of those off anyway, so it didn't make too much of a difference. Still, we ended up with, if I did the math correctly, which I'm not 100% sure that I did, but if I did the math correctly, we ended up with more than when we started, which was 38. So I'm not 100% sure what we're sitting at now, but I think we're at like 8, still at 8, like 863, 864. So we're not making a ton of progress in terms of trying to get that Goodreads TBR down, but there will be more episodes of this series to follow, and right now I am putting myself on a ban of adding additional books onto my Goodreads TBR if I can help it, unless there's like a book that is really screaming out like I need to read that, then I'm not adding any more books onto my Goodreads TBR if I can help it. And hopefully that means we'll get this list down a little bit. We will be adding, like, if I feel like I read a book in a series and I want to add the rest of the books in the series, we'll be doing that. But for right now, we are on a ban. We are going to read as many books as we can that it's on this list, and we'll see where it goes from there. I have already started planning the next installment in the series because I'm having so much fun with this, even though it's not really even though I didn't really get the numbers down in this vlog. It's so much fun to do and to plan and to read these books that have been on my shelves for years, or been on my Goodreads TBR for years, that I haven't really thought about before planning these vlogs. So while they may not be really beneficial, at least it doesn't seem like they're really beneficial, they're getting me to read books that I have not thought about in forever since I put them on my list, or some books that I forgot that I put on my shelf. So, worth it? I think so. Hopefully this vlog will come out soon and then I can start reading my actual TBR for the month. I'm also playing around with the idea of just making this series like go all month long, reading as many books as I can, and then also reading my TBR like alongside of it. But I don't know how good I'm going to be at multitasking multiple vlogs. So I think for right now, the idea is 2 weeks of this style vlog, reading as many books as I can for this series, and then using the last 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks of the month to read like what I actually need to read, the books that I own that are on my official TBR. Because I'm having a lot of fun and it's actually making me want to be more productive. Were there any books on this list that you wish I had gotten to, or any books on this list that you have also read? Let me know it down in the comments below. And if you don't have an answer to that question, let me know what the longest book on your Goodreads TBR is, and if you think you'll plan on getting to it anytime soon. Okay, thank you again for watching. I love you so much, and have a wonderful day.